Hello, friends. I'm DJ Lance Rock, and I have to say, Rock and Roll Grad School is awesome!
One, two, three, four. This is Rock and Roll Grad School with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling.
Hello, kiddies. We are going to have a real good time together. We are talking again with Jock from Firefall. They have a new record out. It's a covers album, and there's nothing wrong with that. And as he
No.
says in the interview, there are things as he said in the interview, there are things that he covers here and we get into that he doesn't normally talk about. So
Yes,
we
it's a
got
very
that going
interesting
for us.
convo. Yes.
We do need to take a moment and say adios and vayas con Dios to Rick Derringer.
Yeah.
I did not realize the extent of his work. So
I didn't either. Like, I knew a lot of it, but I did not know that he was on like one of my favorite songs of all time.
Hang on, Sloopy.
Well, no, although great song. I did know that. But no, Making Love Out of Nothing at
Frankenstein.
All. Well,
Oh.
Also one of my favorite songs, actually. I do love Frankenstein, but no. All of that Jim Steinman stuff, did not know.
Yes. Rick Derringer originally started off as in the McCoys, played on Hang On, Sloopy. He then, in the 70s, worked with the Winter Brothers, both Johnny and Edgar, playing on Frankenstein and Free Ride. Played with, as you mentioned, a lot of the Jim Steinman stuff. Steely Dan, Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah.
And here's the thing I did not know. He produced Weird Al's Eat It and Fat.
Yes.
So, I mean, I always just thought rock and roll hoochie coo, and that's enough.
Right, but then you got the whole I'm a Real American, which continues to live. Who'd have thought that would live forever and ever and ever?
So on top of all of that, and playing with a friend of the show, Air Supply, I'm Making Love With Nothing Else, that
Yes.
you mentioned, he was also a regular at the Factory,
Yes. This
who
is
I
the
would
thing.
never have thought Rick Derringer Factory Diazin.
But
Visitor?
yet, that just makes it all the better.
Yeah, I'm just amazed. And then he became, as he referred to himself, a Jesus freak, and in the 2000s started producing records, Jesus-based records. But he also toured a lot with Ringo Starr and his all-star band.
Yes.
So if you haven't, look at his Wikipedia page, because there's constantly stuff where you go, oh, did not know that.
Which it makes me really sad we never got to talk to him.
Yeah, he would have been a really good one.
Like a perfect grad school friend.
And then the other thing we did not discuss last week, which is probably for the best since we've had a little bit of time to digest it, Sparks is Mad just came out, record number 28.
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, I like it. It's not my favorite, but I do like it. It's getting some shade though.
It's interesting. I feel like it's because it's not as big a swing as Girl Is Crying in Her Latte.
Right, I agree.
But
I do like
something,
it.
there's something only like it kind of makes you hold it closer because you feel like it's this thing that's sort of not minor, but like not as heralded as the last one.
Right. Like, I feel very defensive of it.
Yeah, I could listen to a little bit of light banter for hours on end.
Yes, I agree.
I don't know what it is about that song that I identify with, but
I would have no idea.
yeah,
What would it be?
no clue. And then the
No
other
clue.
thing
I feel like
that
there are several songs that perhaps they maybe wrote for us. Like they actually know us.
would that be Running Up the Tab at the Hotel for the
Of
Fab?
course.
Yes,
Yes,
okay, that's what I
clearly.
thought.
Yes.
But the other thing that's fascinating, so they do like with everything now, there's 5 different versions of the record, and the actual vinyl is different colored, and you can get different versions of everything. Same album, same music, but just in 50 different ways. Some of them come with one of those 3D eye pictures
Yeah.
where you stare at it long enough and something comes out of it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so this is what I thought your reaction would be,
Mhm.
because I have the same reaction. That this is stupid and this doesn't work and this is a waste
Right.
of everyone's time.
Right.
Au contraire, this morning I saw somewhere the picture and I'm like, I'm gonna try it one more time. And gall darn it, for the first time ever, it
It
actually
worked.
worked. It worked for me. I could see Ron and Russell in a third dimension. It looked
Wow.
like they were angry right in front of me.
Wow.
And so I don't want to like attribute all of that to them, but I also don't want to like just throw that to the side and think like, well, I just would have figured this out after 30 years at some point.
No, I think it is that they live in the special third dimension where only we can
Yeah,
go.
I wouldn't suggest you try it because I feel like you might not and get annoyed and then I'll feel bad.
This
But
is exactly what's gonna happen, and you know that's true.
but I was so excited and I felt like I had I don't know, just like something had all fallen together in a way that I'd been waiting a lifetime for.
Well, I'm very happy that you cracked the code, and when you
Thank
find
you.
the portal, maybe you'll pull me through with you, if
Yeah,
I'm lucky.
it's but
If you're feeling nice that day.
yeah, but it's kind of cool. Like when you look at it, you're like, oh, I get it. I see this now. Don't ask me how to do
But
it.
wait, are they looking is it the exact same mad face that's on the cover?
Should I tell you this? So what it
Yes.
is, so it is the picture itself, if you look at it from a distance or up close even, it is a collage of photos of the two of them overlapping and all of this stuff. And there's different poses. So I don't know how many there are in there, but there's different ones because some of them Ron has his head in his hands, others you can see his full face, whatever. As you move away, what comes into the stereoscopic effect is the word mad in a similar font to the one used on the album cover, but it's not colored red like it is on the record. It is simply just more of the collage of Ron and Russell,
Okay.
but it is removed from the background, so you can move around and it follows you.
Okay.
Um, Again, I don't want to, because I mean, listen, I know your plight, and I'm probably going to go right back to your plight.
I know, but that's
But for
okay.
a few moments, I felt like, oh, it's a sailboat. And I felt so good about that.
As long as one of us saw it, I feel like we both saw it.
If you're down and confused and you don't remember who you're talking to, concentration, slip away.
Congratulations on this record. Now, this is volume 2, and we talked to you for volume 1. How,
Of Friends and Family for those listening.
yes, so Friends and
Yes.
Family, Firefall, Friends and Family. Now, how long into the process did you go, I think there's a volume 2 here?
Oh, yeah. It's released May 23rd. We already have 2 singles that have been released from it. And, it's just a joy to have done that.
Oh,
But
Yeah.
how long into the process did you kind of go like, I think we can do more songs? Or were these all cut in that first session and you just had to
Oh,
loosen
no,
the
no, no,
timing?
no. No, a couple of years ago, my manager slash record label, which is convenient and maybe
Yes.
not cool also, but hey, our record label said, you know, the original guys of Firefall, Mark Andes, Michael Clark, Rick Roberts, and I, you know, you guys also played in some other famous bands. You were in other famous bands. Why don't you guys, Firefall, do an album of just their material? And I went, well, that's a cool idea, but you know, and immediately I said, let's expand that idea because in 1976, when our first album came out and hit so big, it went gold in 3 months, and we were on the road with Fleetwood Mac and the Doobie Brothers and, you know, Loggins and Messina. And, you know, out of the box, our album did great in 76.
Yeah.
And it was because the songs were so great and the sound was new and all of it. But, you know, what was I talking about? Where was I going with this?
You
The
were going down
volume
an
one.
amazing path of
Yeah.
great music. is
Oh,
where
okay.
you were
I'm sorry.
headed.
Duh. You know, it's like
You were taking
I'm
us on a
still
great
waking up.
journey.
I've had 2 cups of coffee and they're not working yet.
Oh no, you're fine.
So anyway,
So you started.
when we did that first album, okay, that's in 8 or 10 or 12 Firefall albums. That's the first album that ever has everybody else's songs, and it's our respectful and loving treatment of some of the best songs, artists, and the 70s in general, late 60s to late 70s. You know, is a decade that will never be again. And there's a couple reasons for that, but you know, to pick the songs and then do them, and about half the time as producer, I kept it just like the original. You know, like on the Dan Fogelberg songs. Now it doesn't sound like the Dan's version because we got a different guy singing and it's me playing guitars instead of Dan, and you know, and it's more modern studio techniques and stuff. But on the other half of the songs, I let him go a little bit and, you know, wouldn't maybe focus in on the guitar lick that the original song, you know, focused on. And I focused on something else, but it was still the same song. So it was just really wonderful for me as a lead guitar player, producer of that first record, to do that. You know, what a concept and what a great position to be in, being Firefall, whose, you know, first album came out in 1976. It's like, wow. Anyway, Lynn liked it so much, he said, why don't you make a second record? The label suggested that. And I didn't, I just said, fine, because great, you know, no problem. The interesting thing was, in a couple of places, the choices for what songs were obvious. Loggins and Messina, Angry Eyes, boom, you know, sounds, Firefall sounds a lot like that anyway, you know. But then, you know, there was a couple of songs where, for instance, what Heart song would we do? You know, and Firefall used to tour all the time in the back in the 70s with the Wilson sisters, and got to know Howard and the band, and their manager managed us for 5 years and stuff. But I had no idea, you know, and I knew I needed to pick a Heart song. And my singer, our newest person, John Basaha on bass and amazing lead vocals, who's been in the band 3 or 4 years, he said, I could sing the heck out of the Heart song. Oh God, I'm drawing a blank. Coffee. What about love? And, you know, and it was, I went, bingo, you know. So a couple of times the lead vocalist of the song would say, let's do that one or whatever, because, you know, same thing with the Doobie Brothers on the first album. I went, first of all, so we got to know the Doobie Brothers really well in 76, 77. It was the Michael McDonald, Skunk Baxter Doobie Brothers after Tommy Johnson had left. But, you know, I kind of thought, well, we got 20 Doobie Brothers songs to choose from. What do we do? And again, in that case, it was John saying, let's go. And he helped pick the songs for us. So, it's just an honor to even be giving a new treatment of some of those great songs by Fleetwood Mac or Dan Fogelberg or, or Foreigner or whatever. So, it's just been fun for me. And, I'm in my 70s now, and to think that I'm still making records on the band that came out 25 years ago or whatever, unbelievable.
Yeah, I have some bad news for both you and I. 1976 was not 25 years ago.
Oh, well, okay. How ago was it?
Let's not get into details.
Like 40 or 45 years?
I'm very proud that I was born in 75 and I'll be turning 50 this year. So I think you both should be proud.
Okay, we'll shut the hell up.
All right, baby. Yes. Oh, hey, man, now I just know that being an old guy now, and I've got growing arthritis, and it's starting to screw with my guitar playing. Not so much the solos, but I can't hit certain chords that I learned when I was 12 years old. So it sucks on one level, but to still be making new music and doing interviews and playing music for crowds that pay good money for their tickets, it's an honor, absolute honor.
I think it's far better than the alternative for all of us. I think we need to keep celebrating all of it.
Right.
Yes, I will. I'm getting the arthritis too. It's kicking in.
What city are you guys located in?
I'm in Detroit.
And I'm
outside.
Yeah, I'm outside of Philly.
And Philly.
Yeah.
The wonders of science. I'm in Westminster, Colorado, and for about 3-4 weeks, we've had 70-degree amazing weather, and it's supposed to snow tonight.
Yeah, of course.
It sounds like you're in Detroit. That's what Detroit weather is like.
Yeah, we've been really lucky, and Colorado's so beautiful that
it's gorgeous,
man. But
my aunts are there.
It's really great, and the concept of friends and family, and to make 2 records, which the first one had 13 songs on it, and we picked 12 on the next record, which comes out again May 23rd. To everybody that can listen to every song or go to Amazon or whatever, you can get the first single and the second single probably on Amazon and YouTube right now.
I believe
our
so.
First single, I'll plug it. Our first single off of Friends and Family 2 was the Stephen Still song, "Love the One You're With."
Great.
And I asked my friend Cactus Mosier, who's the drummer husband of Winona Judd, who I know some too, and Winona and Michael McDonald did a couple of suicide prevention benefits for me back in the late 90s or something when I did them in Nashville. But I don't really know Winona, but I asked Cactus, because he's such a kick-ass drummer, if he'd play on the Stephen Still song, which the original doesn't have drums on it. It's Joe Lala on percussion, the late great Joe Lala on all kinds of percussion, and Stephen with his acoustic guitars. And I wanted to put drums on it right away, and Cactus said yes. And then I kind of got the nerve up, and I said, "Well, do you think your lovely wife Winona would she sing on this song too?" And Cactus went, "That's a great idea. I know her producer, and he's going to love it. Sure, she'll sing on your record." And I went, "Wow." And he says, "Of course, I'm her producer."
Right.
Her husband's her producer. But,
perfect.
To get, and Richie Furay sang on a couple of songs. It's nice having some guest appearances by other people that we know and known for a long time.
Yeah, I was going to ask that because of that friends and family kind of subtitle to the group, the record. At any point, I mean, were you there when Winona recorded her track, or did she ever turn to you and say, "Are we friends? Is that what this is?"
No, we're family.
She's never asked me, "Are we friends?" before.
It's because she just knows you are.
And she hasn't seen the record yet.
She was generous enough back in the 90s to come to the Bluebird Cafe and perform with her band for my suicide prevention stuff. you know,
Wow.
That's awesome.
and and that's one of my main charities. And I wrote a song called "Call on Me," and the singer of that song lyrically is the hotline telephone person talking to the at crisis teenager or 22-year-old who's considering committing suicide. And
Wow.
pretty amazing song, came out real fast. I knew I was asked to write a song for suicide prevention, and I went, okay, sure, I can write a song. And as a songwriter, if you're lucky enough to be able to, in that magical moment when you're going to create something from nothing, and I'm a painter too, so it's like having a blank canvas in front of you. Okay, I know I want to paint whatever, but let's start, And on the songs, sometimes I get to be a really right brain songwriter, and a song can come out of me and me sing it for the first time and have it be done in 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And you can occasionally, if you're lucky enough and are deserving enough and in the right headspace, you can kind of channel into the great unknown out there, and boom, there's your song, and it kind of feels funny saying, yeah, I wrote this. No, it actually came through me,
Right.
but, and I know a lot of really good songwriters who are a lot more famous than me and have had a lot more big hits than me and stuff, that, the same thing happens. It's just like that artist thing where suddenly you're not in your left brain anymore. You're in your right brain and you're going, how about this? And, entire paintings come from that place sometimes.
Yeah. It's when the magic really takes over.
Yeah.
How do you get there?
Absolutely. Say again,
Can you
sir?
get, I was gonna say, how do you get there? Do you
You
just have
don't.
to open the door and wait
Yeah.
for it?
Yeah, well, I don't know, maybe I can only talk for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I it's not like you get there. It's like you open yourself up, and sometimes the cosmos comes through.
Like you're
And
taken there, right?
what?
It's like you're taken there. Like you don't will it to
Yeah, or
happen.
no,
Like
it's more like opening up and suddenly, boom. And the idea, before you get hit with, you could call it just inspiration. It's not like a place that you go or
Right.
anything, but you open yourself up to that, and going in, even when you go to that place, that 75% of the lyrics you try are going to suck, or you're not going to like the rhyme, or you have to make changes or whatever. But I kind of go back to stories I heard about the amazing writer Stephen King. He'll just sit down at a typewriter and for about an hour and a half just go, knowing that he can change spelling, or I don't like that one sentence, or hey, let's put this paragraph over here, like that, so. But really creative people can just be right there sometimes. And I'm lucky to have it.
Yeah. I mean, to get there at any moment at once is a great gift.
Yeah.
And as you're doing these songs, I mean, 12 more songs of, like you said, a bunch of different ones, with some connection to Firefall, some not.
Most with.
Yeah. I love that you did So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star.
That was the only one that we did for the first album. And
okay.
we for 5 or 10 years would oftentimes, for our encore song, would be Rock and Roll Star. And I've always loved that. And McGuinn has come on stage once or twice with us in the past and played 12-string, like at the Roxy in LA on Rock and Roll Star, our version, and just like, woo, let me die and go to heaven. I'm on stage with Roger McGuinn and Chris Hillman. Wow. But it's just great. I want to add something that I probably would not usually add, but hey, So I got my creativity kind of as an abused child, physically abused and spanked a lot and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so hard and painful for me as a 5 or 6 year old kid or whatever to realize, that had just happened and under the circumstances and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff, that I would go and I'd go out on the swing set or someplace and I'd in my head go somewhere else. And I'd suddenly be somewhere else. And, because, some of it was too painful. And it wasn't, there's a lot of adults walking around that have some sort of child abuse issues from their parent or their aunt or their uncle or their whoever or their older brothers or whatever. And, and that stuff's not really talked about. But when, I'll tell you what, once I really did the therapy and went and talked to about the whole thing and came to terms with it and remembered some of it, and didn't matter if I remembered a lot of it or not, but just really, in my 20s, I went to counseling, and in the past, however, 40 or 50 years, have been so much greater, because that's a lot of where my creative force came from. Just boom, let's go create something. Let's go to another world, and I'll bet, some songwriters, or painters have that kind of similar story.
There's always that. Well, it's interesting because there's always that question of, does great art need to come from pain? And whether the idea of sort of the tortured writer or the tortured artist.
I would think not. And, because there's for sure great writers, painters, musicians, conductors, all that kind of stuff that are just, it's a joyous thing, and they can tap into it in a joyous manner, and each person's different. And frankly, when I get a tap into it now, it's a totally joyous thing, has nothing to do with pain. It's joyous and wow. And like, for instance, I said, when you're staring at a blank canvas and you kind of know what you want to paint, or you got an idea, or you're looking at a picture that'll give you an idea, that first color and the first stuff you put down is pretty damn magical. And if you're paying attention, the thing that you thought you were going to paint just went out the window, because look at that. Oh, I could, and then you kind of just spontaneously go with it. And that's the really fun part.
I sailed an ocean, unsettled ocean.
Firefall Friends and Family Volume 2 is available right now wherever you get your music, and the group is out on the road right now promoting the record as well. For more information and tour dates, check out their website, officialfirefall.com.
Rock and Roll Grad School is produced by the Professional Production Company. Please be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, because your impassioned review is just as honest as us standing backstage waiting to come back on for the encore. For more information, you can check out our website, rockandrollgradschool.com. And like everyone else, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Today's show was recorded and produced by Heidi Hagquist and myself from our world headquarters located on the second floor of the professional office building, centrally located downtown. Our reluctant executive producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing executive producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our intern is Zach Jackson. This one's for Philippe. Thanks for joining us. Good night, drive safe. May all your favorite bands stay together.
Try to tumble, lots of rumble. Feel a stinging, I've been given, never ending, unrelenting. Heartbreak singing, always feeling, never counting, persevering.